Hello. I'm Johnny Cat. Where can I take you tonight?
Drive!
Would you please repeat the destination?
Oh, anywhere, just go! Go!
Please state a street and number.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
This is a Geek 2.0 podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Joe.
And on this episode, we're going to be delving into the world of internet security.
Cashless society.
And your robot overlords are preparing your body. Now, I'm very, very happy that our robot overlords are going to be taking care of all of our every needs in our future lives.
I am also very, very excited about it, but you got to remember those robot overlords are still programmed by humans.
Oh, that's true. Human error.
Yes, very one little comma or decibel or
in the wrong spot, and your life is over. You're flushed out of your nice, comfy bath into drippy ooze.
Yep. And then there's also the thought of the greater good and how things are handled. To go into our subject, self-driving cars.
Yes, and Tesla and all sorts of car companies want to control our cars.
Which I'm okay with. I think the roads themselves will be much safer when there are more self-driving cars than humans.
Yes, because as humans, we are completely dumb.
Yeah.
And driving or
dangerous.
Operating a 2-ton piece of metal going 80 miles an hour.
Absolutely, because everyone, whether they like to admit or realize, everyone feels at some point or another that the world kind of revolves around them, that they are the star of their own show, and that people need to be out of their way because they are the important one.
And us telling you this, you're going to be yelling at your listening device or however you're listening to this. Say, no, I know how to do this. Stop telling me what to do.
Yeah, which in itself proves our point. So there are some really cool things, though, that they are doing with the self-driving cars and the collision avoidance and lane departures and all that. I've seen videos, which I think are amazing to me, of a Tesla. I know I pronounced that wrong, but it doesn't matter. I always have a hard time pronouncing that. Where it was a dash cam, and it showed the car hitting the collision warning light started going off, and the car started braking. But the car in front of them, everything was fine. The accident was in front of the car in front of them.
Right.
So it was like 2 cars up, which is nuts to me that it can
actually see that far, predict quick enough.
Yeah.
Faster than actually a human brain can comprehend. Because by the time we'll look at it, say, oh, there's something going on up ahead. Oh no, it's an accident. I should be stopping. Oh, where's my feet? Oh, it's over here. Yeah. And by that time, you're already plowed into the person in front of you.
Or you cut it really close.
Yeah.
So to me, that's amazing. And that's really cool. And when you add more of those vehicles on the road, it's only going to get
because they can link up to each other. You have a daisy chain of cars talking to each other, and say all of a sudden, car in front of the lane 2 miles up ahead, battery problem, I gotta pull over.
Yep.
So the whole line slows their speed down enough, makes room.
Yeah.
And they give nice 1 or 2 car links that we're supposed to do, but we never did.
Well, there's that, and I don't remember what it was that I was watching, but there was a show where they were talking about just human driving ability, and they showed that they did this test. It was a perfect circle road. It was an isolated course, and it was a perfect circle, and they took cars and evenly spaced them out on this track. So every car was the exact same distance all the way around. Well, they were stopped. Oh, okay. They were all perfect distance around. They put drivers in all the cars and had them all drive the same speed limit. And as you're watching this and they're going, the next thing you know, backups start happening. So There's no stop signs. There's no turns. There was nothing to yield to. There was all they had to do was drive and keep a safe distance from the car in front of them. And the next thing you know, it got to a point where you see, like how you see on the road now, where traffic's piling up, and you finally get to a point where it frees, and you go, why did we all stop? There was nothing there. There was no accident, no light, no nothing. We just all stopped. That's because of other people's poor driving, basically. And it's just their own habits.
And just compounds on each other.
So what started out as everyone equally spaced in a perfect circle eventually got to a point where they were hitting a slowdown spot, and that slowdown spot travels. So, so the car, slows down. People slow down behind it. Then the car moves. They start moving, and that slowdown moves back down the line until it hits an empty spot, and you're back to zero.
Yeah, it's like an inchworm. I mean, it's like you had the head stops, and then the rest of the body catches up, and all of a sudden the head moves again, and it just compounds down the freeway. Yeah, where all of a sudden you have a several mile backup. Yeah, but now with self-driving cars. I know with Waymo and then what used to be part of Google, their self-driving cars in California, they still have people in there.
They have to.
Engineers, they're doing all the testing just in case.
Legal risk.
Yeah. It's one of the things that they're able to do. And a lot of the times, the only times that, they got into an accident, but the reason why is because other drivers, human drivers.
Interaction.
Someone cuts off the car. All of a sudden, the car stops, but not quick enough because that person within inches.
Well, that's what is it? I can't remember. There's a theory or a theorem, or biggest concern when it comes to those, and that's if the car for whatever reason is out of control, and you can put other safety features into it. So this is. I'm sure that they can get around this relatively easy, but it is something that you hear a lot. And the car itself has to make the decision, do I hit these pedestrians in this lane, or do I hit do I hit two pedestrians in this lane or the school bus in this lane, and those are my only choices. What decision does the car make? Yeah. I can understand that. And it is a valid point, but you're also not taking into account that you can design other safety features into this vehicle
before it gets to that point.
Correct.
Because the computer, it sees this fleshy object in this way. Is there more fleshy objects on the right, or is there one or two on the left? Well, and it's how it's been programmed by humans.
Yes.
Is okay. Well, we don't want to run over too many. Okay, the needs of the few outweigh the greater of the good. Well, that's the opposite of how they think, because I'm probably getting that backwards, but it's one of those things where the computer has to take what has been programmed.
Correct.
And that's the only way it can operate.
And the thing is to play devil's advocate to that point, you can and probably will and should look at it in the sense of you have pedestrians, which are by themselves vulnerable, and life can be at risk when talking about a 2-ton vehicle.
Yeah.
Or you have another vehicle or a bigger vehicle. Hit the vehicle. Because the vehicles are designed.
Because it has all that safety.
Correct. Yeah. With the safety features that human bodies are not.
Right.
And to me that should be kind of the answer to the question, have it hit the vehicle? And you go, well, what about the people in the vehicle? Or what if it is a school bus full of children and those poor kids? Well, you design the vehicles to be able to not only take an impact, which they obviously have been doing over the years, even before self-driving cars, but then you also add in the safety features that they are slowly already putting into with the advanced collision warnings, the automated braking systems, to help minimize the impact on top of. So it's to the point that I brought up that seems to be the concern for self-driving cars. I think it's something that can be mitigated very easily.
It can, because a lot of the times is that there's, I think it was last year, where some guy, it came out that he was ignoring all the warning signs in his Tesla, that, hey, there's an object in your way, and it starts beeping or it's saying, "Hey, put your hands on a wheel" or something, because it does that after 30 seconds. If you have your hands off the wheel, it tells you put your hands back on the wheel.
Stop being lazy.
Stop being lazy. Wake up and actually drive. But he ignored all the warning signs, and unfortunately, he crashed into a semi and he died. Everything was just blaring at him, but unfortunately, it came down again to the human ignoring every possible thing to keep from doing that.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, the robots can only do so much.
What's the phrase? You can lead a person to water, but you can't force them to drink.
Yeah. It's something where we're at a detriment to ourselves.
Yes. Well, what I wonder, because obviously the reason that we bring all this up is the technology is only going to get better and more readily available, and it's something that our kids are ultimately going to be dealing with. So I wonder, what will they deal with? Like, because obviously there's so much of what we've seen already, but what is someone else thinking of right now, or what is yet to be thought of? I
mean, you look at all sorts of science fiction. You think like AI or how our robots take care of us while we're floating around in our easy chairs sipping on whatever it was in Wall-E.
Yes. Yes.
And we all become 300-pound people. It's just not for a care in the world. As long as something that works, it works. We don't care.
Hey, I'm good with that.
But yeah, it's just that what our future generation is going to deal with, and that we are designing these things to do a certain thing. And we're still coming up because a lot of people, they don't trust machines or the services or
just resistant to change in general.
I mean, I'm sure that people back in the old days when the horse and buggy, and all of a sudden you got Ford started producing cars. Oh, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
The horse and buggy market fought back, but it's eventually, how many horse and buggies do you see on the road, except for up in Pennsylvania, in Amish country?
I mean, the same thing could be said for the fossil fuels and how they're, running. Are we ever going to get to a point for our generations or generations to come where we're going to be running off of something other than crude oil?
Something we dig out of the ground.
Yeah, it's out there.
They'll eventually run out.
Correct. It's out there. They are obviously working on it, but it seems to be progressing very slow, which amazes me, because if the demand was there, the technology would get better.
Yeah.
And a lot of people blame the oil industries and the lobbyists and all that, saying that they're holding back. But at the same time, I agree with that, because I'm sure they do have a pretty large fault.
They have a lobby or they buy stuff.
But at the same time, if the demand was large enough, the industries are not dumb. They're not going to continue down a path that no one wants. It's supply and demand.
Yeah, as well. To go off on a little tangent, and this is back when gas prices were going up to almost $4 a gallon. Everybody would start to unload their big SUVs and get smaller, fuel efficient cars. Well, now that gas is $2 or less now, so I can drive my Hummer, no problem. It's humans are very fickle.
What?
I mean, we like to be coddled, but we're also, especially Americans, are America, and I'm independent.
But I mean, it also, that can lead into, becoming, where is the dollar going, the physical paper money going? I remember being a teenager talking about the fact that at that time I was expecting, when I was an adult, that paper money would be null and void.
It's almost there.
Almost.
It's very rare when you go to a grocery store or something, you see somebody even writing a check.
Yeah, thank God.
And it's a generational thing.
Yes, that is true.
It's an older generation. They still like their paper checks, writing it out. And generation after that likes their paper money. Ours and future are going to go for like Apple Pay or Samsung Pay, the cashless, where basically you have it at your device, you tap onto another device, and that's it.
See, and it's funny because you say our generation, and there are quite a bit in our generation that are, wow, I just lost the word, accepting and taking on of that technology. But I think it's actually going to be more of the millennials and the generation after that that are really going to take
To fully embrace it.
the Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay.
Yeah, because a lot, again, coming back to people being untrustworthy, or not untrustworthy, but trusting,
Unsure. Yeah.
unsure of this new stuff. Say, okay, well, what if my phone gets stolen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it's either you have a PIN code or your thumbprint, on depending which device you have, and how you set it up. But that's in the back of their minds. Like, I use Apple Pay a lot.
See, and it's funny. I have Samsung. I have like that. I don't use any of those.
And I try to get my wife to, because she has a Samsung phone, and she was
trust it.
trying to get Samsung, but her hang up was trying to get the thumbprint, and of course with the phone at the beginning, it just wasn't working right. So that's the thing. It was software. It was just buggy. You try to do a thing, and you don't want to stand there for minutes and got people staring at you. Like, come on,
the
idiot,
worst.
move. Use your card.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've got like Samsung also, and just I don't trust it yet. I prefer using plastic.
Okay.
Like that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like the like we were just talking about the generation that use cash and checks. And I'm stuck in that generation of plastic, and I have a feeling that's probably where I'll end up. But I do see it being very useful. I do see it being something that is where it's headed to in a sense, and I'm not resistant to the change. I'm excited about it. I would like to see things move forward and become more readily available for that. But it doesn't mean that me personally, I will do that until maybe I'm older.
Well, it saved myself a couple times. I went to lunch, forgot my wallet. And I got out to Chick-fil-A, got to the counter. Well, where's my wallet? Oh, okay. Luckily, I have my phone. Boop. There you go. And I do that all constantly. I go to a work cafe, it has NFC payment. Don't have to worry about bringing my wallet with me, unless the time where the NFC doesn't work. Then I have to put the stuff back, go back to my desk. But that's just when the technology fails, which it will do.
It will absolutely do until, again, the demand gets more there and they start putting more time and money and effort into developing a more secure and stable environment.
Now, what do you think in the future? Okay, let's say 20 years from now, Apple is doing something, and you got Samsung has taken over Android because they ate everything else. Would you see like implants or?
I think implants could be a thing. I don't see them going biometric. I don't see that necessarily working. I do see it more with actual implants.
Well, let me also add in. Do you think with geofencing, where you are imprinted in their database, and you walk into a store, you don't have to carry a device or a wallet or any cash or anything like that. They just know you are in this particular store, and you pick up say fruit for like Amazon has like a grocery store. They don't have cashiers or anything. You pick up your stuff, and automatically it knows what you picked up and charges your account, and you can walk out without paying.
I think that's
so to speak.
Yeah, that is a really neat idea, and I would love to see it. Like because it's only out right now, and I believe it's like Silicon Valley or
Seattle and like one or two other places.
Yeah, it's very, very, very small. But I would love to go there and actually experience it to see it, because right now I can only imagine.
Well, yeah, you walk in, you think, "Oh, I'm shoplifting." Did I go get in trouble? You start looking around.
There was a video that I saw that went through the explaining of that, and it was just the coolest thing in the world to me. I could be wrong, because just like with to go back to HD DVDs or Blu-ray DVDs.
Yeah, the whole thing was that whole war.
Correct, and then Blu-ray ended up taking it. I could kind of see that, or something along the lines of biometrics or, something like that. I could see one or the other, that kind of being that kind of war. Where things go, I don't know. If that happens, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I could see something like that happening.
Because there is a flaw in biometrics. With the thumbprint, your thumbprints will start fading over time, especially if, depending on what kind of work you do. A lot of nurses have a problem where all the antiseptic stuff, they're constantly scrubbing and doing everything throughout the day for years. Their fingerprints have changed so much it's almost gone.
Well, and to add to that point, man, I'm losing words today.
English is hard.
Yeah, very. Sorry, I got to collect my thoughts. Despite popular belief, every fingerprint is not unique. There can be more than one person in the world that has the same fingerprint. So,
and there's plenty of cases where people that have taken your fingerprints, or basically have taken your fingerprint and used it for nefarious reasons.
Well, and there was,
and it's easy to do.
On the other side of that coin, there was a individual that was actually imprisoned for a crime that they never committed. They were not even in the country at the time the crime was committed,
really?
But because of the fingerprints that they found on scene matched this gentleman's fingerprints, he was imprisoned for the crime.
Is it because there's just enough where it caused a match?
Yeah. So that's nuts.
Anything is infallible up to a point where all of a sudden you have to have smart people trying to figure out, okay, get past this sticking point.
So I think,
make it work.
I think something along the lines of implants.
But then you raise a whole nother question: is privacy?
Yes.
And you have people with religious beliefs that they don't want stuff
alter their body.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is a whole thing. So you'll have segments of the population throughout the world. Even then, like in America, it's basically you'll have the same thing where pockets of people don't want to do this one particular thing.
But I think, given enough time, if they tried making the change, starting next year, you're going to have the uproar. You're going to
be a riot.
You're going to have those arguments. But if you made it more of a slow change and just kind of integrated it into society as a norm, and you started with younger kids and you just kind of work
you make
your way
it
up,
easy.
Then I could see even the people that do have an issue with the altering of bodies, that this would be different. You know what I mean? Because the religious beliefs may say that you're not supposed to alter, but this, they could look at it as in, well, this isn't altering, this is secure. Who knows whatever.
Yeah, they can change the words to fit a meaning after so many generations.
Yeah, things tend to change over time.
Yeah,
Very,
we're not in the
very
Crusades or the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, who expects that?
Well, and I mean, if you truly think about it, everything that we are doing right now in this world is barbaric. Yeah. As advanced as we feel we are very barbaric right now. And I can say that because when you go a couple hundred years into the future and they look back on the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, and they're going to go, oh my God, how did those people live?
Use some leeches.
Exactly.
Was it Star Trek movie? It was, I think the Voyage Home, where Bones is like, what are you, in the Dark Ages? But then also bring up another point is where, okay, with privacy, but then they also have security on all these issues that can be quite possibly easily hacked.
Yeah,
you have a lot of people that work on it and say, oh, I can hack this. I mean, you have people already hacking a Jeep with their self-driving vehicle that has been hacked by people not even there, but over the internet somewhere else.
Correct, because now a lot more cars are connecting to the internet, becoming hotspots themselves. And they are opening themselves up for security risk and people being able to control your vehicle from a laptop computer countries away.
Exactly, because everything's all connected. And how would you go about that? I mean, without going to like air gap, even air gapping stuff, it doesn't really cut the cord, so to speak, where you have one computer controlling another by sounds. Because that's actually been done when Google has basically you have your TV with a Chromecast. With a guest network, it'll send out a sound through your TV speakers that we can't hear to have that someone, your guest, be able to connect to your Chromecast.
See, I wonder, though, if it's a matter of looking at it from a different angle. Because a lot of security and the way that they're doing security now is they're looking at it from a what's the least interference, most user-friendly, but most secure way of handling something.
It's something where it's more like user-friendly.
And you kind of have to pull away from the user-friendly side.
Yeah, if you want to be secured.
And truly secure it, and then educate the user on how to actually do that. But that's difficult. Very
a lot
difficult.
of people have, especially in our line of work, I know that we'll have complaints like, why do I have to remember 18 different passwords? Why can't you just use one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you can use one, but then you're writing it down on your Post-it note. Joe Schmo comes along, takes your Post-it note, all of a sudden he has your password.
Or you're using very common names, terms.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, your children's names, your pet names, stuff that people can social engineer out of you very easily.
And again, that has been done quite easily. It's people call up, like, say, Comcast for your password, saying, starts crying, oh, my husband has been in a car accident. We need a password because he has information. Well, you're social engineering the representative you're talking to. All of a sudden, you're preying on their humanness to get the information out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely of concern. And I mean, on top of that, you also have what's been very big recently, and I honestly don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, is ransomware.
Yeah. It's been, so to speak, of ramping up.
Yes.
In the past couple
and
years.
evolving.
Yeah,
And where ransomware was in the beginning is nowhere like it was now, and it hasn't been that long.
It's where basically if you don't know, is that you get your computer or your network becomes infected. Everything that's on your computer, your files, pictures, whatever, becomes encrypted or locked down. And you get a message saying, if you don't pay us, say 300 Bitcoins or whatever, your information is gone. And this is people's hospitals, their systems are just completely locked down away from them, and they have no access to it.
Correct. And it's, when you think about self-driving cars and you think about the cashless society and that kind of aspect, and now you add in ransomware on top of it, that means someone can lock down your car, lock down your access to your bank.
Or you even control it, where all of a sudden it'll drive you off the interstate.
Absolutely, unless you pay or unless you do blah.
Or you just made someone mad.
Yeah.
Or you're head of state, or you can go even further to tinfoil hat conspiracy.
Good old tinfoil hats.
Yep, they always work. All of a sudden you control the president's limo and then take it from there.
So it's something that I think is going to be a while before it really evolves and gets out there in society. But having said that, I think the more that it's out there, the more secure it's going to get and the more safe it's going to get.
Well, also add top of that is more, it's in the public eye. It's not more of a text OPSEC.
Absolutely.
Where it's a small little niche community that deals with security issues.
And the generations that are growing up with it are going to be more educated and more advanced with these kinds of things, that they're going to handle it differently than the generations, even ours or before ours.
Right, because your parents will be like, oh, I got this USB key. Someone handed it to me with pictures. Let's take a look at it, plug it in your computer, and, well, you're...
Yeah.
Out of luck.
Or, hey, I got your email, but then my computer crashed. I don't know what happened. And you never sent them an email.
Yeah.
It's
because a lot of spoofing happens, even with the phone numbers now. It's
absolutely
with scams and all that.
Hell, they have apps for Google now where you can do it as a game, where you can spoof a phone number and send a message to another phone that you're friends with. And it's a game at this point.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just that everything is pretty much where people, if the people have a passion, or not even a passion, but just want to do it to see if they can.
Yes. And then you got the people that do it because they can make a career out of it.
But it's everything that depends on how people want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always those people that say, with ransomware. I was watching, I think it was Know How on a Twit network, and they actually went through and shown how easy it is to do the WannaCry ransomware. And it was actually almost scary how fast it locked everything down and gave you the message. And it was only for a few files, but they showed you how it went through, and you can see it as it works through its process. Mm-hmm. It was quite interesting to watch.
But there was a segment on, I believe it was Fuse TV, where a reporter was doing a segment on security and cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. And they have, the DEF CON convention, which is a big white hack, which is, for our non-techie people, it's basically hackers that are good. They're your good wizards.
Well, there's also the bad part too. It's a hacker con.
Yes, and this is a convention that people go to show what's new that's out there, what has been freshly hacked, what security risks are out there. But the entire convention, people are trying to hack each other because that's kind of what this place is.
So if you go to Vegas, you want to not go to Vegas for that week because your phone will be
a lot can be hit.
Your laptops, any kind of Wi-Fi. Do not trust anything.
But they have on the segment that he did, he reached out to a couple of companies that do this stuff intentionally and asked them to hack him so he could see what it was like. And when he went to the convention, he sat down with them, and this was like a week or two prior that he asked. Yeah. And they showed him that they had complete control of his life. They had his mother's maiden name. They had his socials. They had his credit cards. They had his camera on his laptop take pictures every couple minutes. And we're showing him all this stuff. And it all went back to one email because when they were researching him, they found he had a little blog website or whatever. And they spoofed the hosting company for his website. And had a link that sent to him for him to do something, and he wasn't paying enough attention to realize it was a fake email. Clicked the link, and that
started a whole chain of events.
Everything from there.
It's just that one small, minuscule thing could just change your life forever.
Absolutely.
And it's easy for all this stuff to be hacked. I mean, I'm not just talking about phones and computers. That's probably medium level type of thing, but Internet of Things devices, like even Ring doorbells, your Nest cams,
baby cameras,
all that are actually easier to do because the manufacturers who make this stuff, they push out the firmware when they first make it and they don't touch it.
Or so if everything comes out a couple of times, and then that's it.
That's if you're lucky.
Yes, absolutely. It's something you have to. But again, that's where the education comes in. That's where you have to not only be aware of the products that you have, but you have to stay on top of those products and out there looking and researching to see if there is any new firmware or software for that particular product. Update regularly on those products, but then also look into how they are accessing the networks, because even the baby cams that you hear about that are being accessed by outside people, a lot of that can be because of the network that those cameras are attached to.
It's unsecured, or there's this open.
Yes.
So anyone that's driving that can do war driving, to go up and down your street, see an open network, hop on with, because even also you haven't changed your admin on your router, it's still going to be admin and password.
Or admin.
Yeah. Or nothing. I forget which one it does that, but I think it's... But the most important thing is to change your admin privileges to something that's easy for you, but hard for other people.
Correct. The big thing that I tell people in the company that I work for is, simple sentences. You have your upper cases, your lower cases, your punctuations, your numbers, but do simple sentences. And then if you really want to advance it even more, if you have something like, let's just say you were doing a birth date, all right, which is not good.
Yeah,
but let's say you were using a birth date in your password, substitute some of those numbers for the written version of it. So instead of the number 1, type out ONE. It adds extra characters, which is going to add the complexity.
And yeah,
you can uppercase the O, capital ONE, and then the rest of the date. You've now increased the complexity. You've increased the length. You've made it more secure, but it's still easy to remember because it's still that date at heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that is what I try to tell individuals, that I work with. But when it comes to the future, and like we were started this with the self-driving cars and the cashless societies, what would we necessarily go with? What are your viewpoints that you think we could go with security and securing those options? Do you think that you could tie in your either biometrics or your iris scans or facial scans, or do you think you could do implants for that section and then that section feeds something else?
Yeah, with the DNA, or even by DNA splicing into implants, or it's just something.
Even tattoos, where you have a barcode on your arm that's specific to you.
There we go with it.
Of course.
I don't want to be marked up.
But they have tattoos now that are audio files. You can scan it with your phone and it plays the audio file of the tattoo, which is awesome.
I mean, go off the top. I know there's a road somewhere that has the little rumble strips are set up in a certain way. If you go like 45, it's like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or something.
Yes, absolutely. And you could, do a lot of that stuff that you could add. But I'm curious as to what you guys think would be secure, or things that people will add for security, or even just things that you think that the future will hold for our next generations.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider and to look forward to, and hopefully, and basically, we're never going to get a perfect future society, because that'd be boring.
Well, and just as security and technology changes, so does the flip side of that coin. And
then you go into where it's a dystopian future where the robots taking over. You're going to the Matrix.
But there's always going to be people who are trying to break whatever people build to secure.
Yeah,
it's
there's
always
always
going to be the case.
So yeah, if you give us your comments and creative criticism and anything that you would like to let us know, or any kind of future episode titles or
absolutely
topics you want to send us, give us a call. Or not call. Wow. First time caller, long time listener. But yeah, you want to go to our website at geek20podcast.com, or send us an email at geek2.0podcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up at Twitter at Geek20podcast. We also have a Facebook group that it'd probably be a lot of people for in the Facebook community. You want to send us something through. You can find us at search for Geek 2.0 podcast on Facebook. And well, that's today's show for this month.
See you next time.
See you next time.